The bride suddenly shoved the maid in front of everyone, and the tray crashed loudly on the floor as the entire wedding hall froze in complete shock and disbelief. The guests gasped. Whispers spread like fire, but the real shock was on the billionaire's face. His smile vanished, replaced by a fear no one had ever seen before. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The maid slowly looked up from the broken glass, her eyes locking onto the billionaire, and in that silent second, it felt like she recognized something terrifying. The bride, furious and humiliated, grabbed the maid's arm tightly, accusing her of ruining the perfect moment, unaware she had just triggered something far bigger. The billionaire didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at the maid as if a ghost from his past had walked straight into his carefully built life. A single tear rolled down the maid's cheek, but her expression wasn't weak. It was strong, almost like she had been waiting for this exact moment for years. Guests began to murmur louder, confused why a powerful man who feared nothing now looked completely shaken by a simple maid standing in front of him. The bride shouted again, demanding security to throw the maid out, but the billionaire suddenly raised his hand, stopping everyone, his voice still silent but heavy. And in that tense silence, one question echoed in every mind. Why was the most powerful man in the room afraid of someone he should not even know? The scene suddenly shifts to a crowded street market, where the same maid walks through narrow paths, wearing simple clothes, her face tired, but her eyes filled with quiet strength. People pass by without noticing her, but one man in a black coat approaches her secretly, slipping money into her hand and whispering, "Stay silent. Forget the past forever." She looks at the money for a second, then firmly pushes it back into his hand, her voice calm but powerful. "Some truths don't disappear, no matter how much you pay." As she turns to leave, her old worn bag slightly opens and a small photograph slips out, falling onto the dusty ground without her noticing it. The man quickly picks up the photo, his expression changing instantly as he sees a young version of the billionaire standing beside a woman and a little girl. His hands begin to shake as he realizes this is not just a random maid. This is someone directly connected to a past that was buried deep and never meant to return. Meanwhile, the maid continues walking, unaware the photo is missing, but her face shows she is carrying years of pain, years of unanswered questions. The camera slowly focuses on the photograph again, revealing the little girl standing next to the young billionaire. Her face looks exactly like the maid, and suddenly the truth begins to form. Was she that same child, the one who disappeared after something terrible happened years ago? But if that is true, then why has she returned now, and what exactly does she want from the man who seems terrified of her presence? The moment the memory hits him, the billionaire rushes back to his mansion, his calm image shattered, his hands trembling as he slams the door behind him in panic. He grabs his phone and starts making rapid calls, his voice low but urgent. "Find out who she is. Now. I want every detail about that maid immediately." The staff freezes, seeing his reaction, because this was a man who never lost control, yet now fear was clearly taking over every part of him. His trusted butler steps forward carefully and says, "Sir, she joined recently, very quiet, no background records, almost like she appeared out of nowhere." The billionaire's breathing becomes heavier, his mind racing back to something he tried to bury forever, something he believed would never come back to haunt him. He walks toward his private study, opens an old drawer, and pulls out a dusty file, his hand shaking as he hesitates to even look inside it. Inside the file are faded documents and an old accident report, one that was officially marked as closed. But deep down, he knew the truth was never that simple. His eyes fill with guilt as flashes of that night return. Rain pouring, a sudden crash, a woman screaming, and him walking away instead of helping. He whispers to himself, almost broken, "No, it can't be her. She was just a child. She couldn't have survived that night." But then a terrifying thought hits him harder than anything else. If she did survive, then what else does she remember? And what is she about to reveal? The billionaire sits alone inside his luxury car, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel tightly as silence surrounds him. But inside his mind, chaos screams louder than ever. His fingers slowly move to his phone, scrolling through old recordings, until he stops at one voice message he has never dared to delete all these years. With trembling hands, he presses play, and a woman's weak, broken voice fills the car. "You left us there. You left us to die. How could you do this?" His eyes shut instantly, pain hitting him like a storm as that voice drags him back to the night he chose his reputation over humanity, his silence over truth. Tears begin to form, but he quickly wipes them away, as if even now he refuses to fully accept the weight of what he has done. Then suddenly something clicks in his mind. That same tone, that same pain. It matches the maid's voice from the wedding hall perfectly. His breathing stops for a second, realization crashing into him. "No, that means—" But he cannot even finish the sentence forming in his mind. Was the maid just a witness? Or was she the child who heard those last words, the one who survived when her mother didn't? The phone slips slightly from his hand as guilt and fear mix into something unbearable, something he can no longer run from, no matter how powerful he is. And as the message ends, one horrifying question remains. If she knows the truth, then why did she come back now, and what is she about to do next? The maid steps away from the wedding hall and moves into a quiet corridor, her hand slightly shaking as she pulls out her phone, knowing this call will change everything forever. She dials a number slowly, takes a deep breath, and when the call connects, her voice turns firm. "I found him, and today I'm going to tell him the truth he ran from." On the other side, a concerned voice warns her to be careful, reminding her how powerful he is, how dangerous this truth can become once it is spoken out loud. But she closes her eyes and replies softly, "I have lived with this pain for years. I'm not afraid anymore. He deserves to hear what he did to us." Unaware of this conversation, the bride quietly walks down the same corridor, her anger still burning, until she hears the maid's words and stops instantly. Her expression changes from anger to suspicion as she slowly moves closer, realizing this is not about a broken tray. Something much bigger is happening behind her back. She listens carefully as the maid continues. "He thinks it's over, but he doesn't know I remember everything, every second of that night." The bride's heart starts racing, her mind jumping to one conclusion: blackmail. She believes the maid is trying to destroy the wedding for money or revenge. Without thinking twice, the bride storms forward, grabs the maid's phone, and ends the call, her voice cold and threatening. "You picked the wrong day to play your games." But as the maid slowly looks up at her, completely calm, one chilling thought rises. What if the bride has just stepped into a truth she was never meant to discover? The bride drags the maid into a private room and locks the door behind them, her anger exploding as she pushes her against the wall, demanding answers without knowing what she is about to hear. The maid stumbles slightly, but quickly stands firm, her eyes steady, her silence louder than the bride's shouting, as if she is not afraid of anything anymore. The bride steps closer, her voice sharp and threatening. "Tell me the truth. How much do you want? Whatever game you're playing ends right now. Understand?" But the maid doesn't react to the threat. Instead, she calmly replies, "You think this is about money, but you don't even know the man you're about to marry." The words hit hard, and for a second, the bride's confidence cracks. But her ego pushes her forward as she grabs the maid's arm even tighter. "Stop lying," she shouts. "I know him better than anyone. He is not the kind of man you're trying to describe. You're just trying to ruin everything." The maid's eyes suddenly fill with pain, but not weakness, and she whispers, "If you knew him, you wouldn't be standing here defending him like this." The room falls into a heavy silence, the tension thick enough to feel as the bride slowly realizes there might be something she truly doesn't know. Then the maid takes a deep breath and says the one thing that shakes everything. Years ago, he didn't just walk away from a mistake. He walked away from a dying woman. And in that moment, the bride's heart skips, because deep inside, a terrifying doubt begins to grow. What if the real villain in this story isn't the maid at all? The wedding hall falls into a deadly silence as the maid walks in slowly, every step heavy with truth, while all eyes turn toward her, and the billionaire freezes in place. The bride follows behind, shaken and confused, her earlier anger fading into fear as she realizes something irreversible is about to happen in front of everyone. The maid stops at the center, her voice calm but echoing. "You all deserve to know who this man really is. Not the image, but the truth he buried." Guests exchange uneasy looks, whispers rising again, but this time filled with tension as the billionaire's face turns pale, unable to stop what's coming. She raises her trembling hand and points directly at him. "Years ago, on a stormy night, he hit a woman with his car, and instead of helping, he ran away." A loud gasp spreads across the hall, shock hitting every corner, while the bride slowly steps back, her world collapsing with every word she hears. The maid continues, her voice breaking but strong. "That woman was my mother, and I was there. I watched her beg for help while he chose to leave us." The billionaire lowers his head, unable to deny it anymore, guilt finally overpowering his silence as the truth he feared becomes real in front of everyone. Tears fall from the maid's eyes as she says, "I survived that night, but she didn't. And all these years, he lived like nothing ever happened." And as the room stands frozen in shock, one final question hangs in the air. After this truth is out, can a man like him ever face his own life again? The silence breaks when the billionaire suddenly turns away from the altar, his steps slow but final, as if every ounce of his power has collapsed under the weight of truth. The bride reaches out, her voice shaking, begging him to stop, but he doesn't turn back, because for the first time, he knows he doesn't deserve anything he is leaving behind. Tears stream down her face as her dream wedding crumbles in seconds, replaced by a reality she never imagined, a truth she was never prepared to face. The guests stand frozen. No one dares to speak as they watch a powerful man walk away, not from a wedding, but from the life he built on silence and lies. The billionaire slowly walks toward the maid, his eyes filled with regret, his voice breaking as he finally says the words he avoided for years. I'm sorry. The maid looks at him, her expression calm but deeply wounded, and replies softly, "Sorry doesn't bring back the dead, and it doesn't erase what you chose to do." Her words hit harder than anything else, and for the first time, he doesn't defend himself. He doesn't explain, he just accepts the pain he created. He lowers his head, then quietly walks past her, leaving behind the wedding, the wealth, and everything that once defined him, choosing to face his guilt alone. The bride collapses into tears. The maid stands still with silent strength, and the man who had everything walks into a future filled only with consequences. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.